Welcome to the Gals Guide to the Galaxy podcast, where a group of gals gather for you one cool thing around our topic of the month. Is it ancient history? Is it breaking news? Is it safe for work? Well, that's up to each gal. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome back. I'm Katie, and I'm joined by Bonnie, Leah, and Claire talking about our one cool scary gal. Bonnie already talked about Cassandra Peterson, aka Elvira, or Elvira, aka Cassandra Peterson.
There you go. That's fair.
Whichever way she prefers it. They're both pretty synonymous with the role, and I thought that was really cool, Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, don't have that ownership over the characters they've created or played, so very cool. But before we dive back in and I get to share my one cool thing, let's get to know something random about our gal pals. So I'm going to be talking about the Guinness World Book Record holder for being a female serial killer.
Ooh, you get a Guinness for that?
Yeah, I mean...
Should we take place bets for how many she got?
We could.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'll allow it, but first I get to ask you guys my kind of weird question, Leah. I'm kind of a little disturbing. You're going all in for Scary Mom.
I know, exactly. I found some scary questions.
This was just scary to kind of think about.
Yeah.
I want to know, if someone you love committed a gruesome murder, would you help them cover it up?
Oh.
Bonnie's
like, no.
No.
Like,
I'm very much a goody two shoes. I follow the rules. I would probably also just be depending on how gruesome it, no. I worked in a kennel for a while, so I'm okay with I'm okay with a little bit of blood and urine and feces and vomit and whatever, but there's just blood everywhere. No. I'm not helping clean that up. And then just gross dead things freak me out. Rigor mortis, no.
No life as a mortician for you then? Not as a backup career?
I am more bothered by dead bugs than alive bugs.
Gotcha. You that's
I was going to say it would depend on who is murdered and if they deserved it. But Bonnie has some really good points. I hate cleaning. I hate cleaning so much.
See? Oh, man. Oh, crap. See, I really have to question one's loyalty because I am a loyal person. And if it was somebody that I really loved, I think I would totally help them. I think I would get the gloves and the bucket. And I think I would totally, I've seen a lot of movies. I think I would totally help. The problem is you don't want me helping cover over the murder because this face doesn't lie well. That's the problem. So you kind of don't want me to know because then when somebody else asks you, did so-and-so murder that person? No. I'm the worst person for you to tell.
Then you're going to have to kill that person, and it's just going to lead to a big string, and you might break
it's going to be a whole
Katie's murderous record.
This is true. This is very true. But I would help them, but they shouldn't want my help. And then also why I'm helping, I will just totally explain to them how their karma is fucked and how they're going to have to do a lot to cleanse their karma for murdering somebody, let alone the police that are going to come after them because I'm going to talk.
Right.
I'll cover it up the best I can.
So if you help them clean it up, and let's say they get away with it, what if they do it again?
Yeah, see then, what is it? Fool me once, shame on
the
them.
line?
Fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah. But I'm also an enabler, Bonnie. I'm not a good person to have in this situation, but loyalty.
Right.
I'm with a friend to the end.
Awesome.
That's where I'm at. Katie, what about you?
I mean, all of you had extensively good points on this.
Would it hold
It's
up
like we've all thought about it before.
in a thing of court?
King of court.
Thing of court.
You know, the court thing.
The court thing. Oh, the court of law. Would it hold up in a court of law?
There we go.
Anybody? No. Katie, what would you do?
I don't know, gosh. All of you guys had such good valid points. I would say I would help come up with a reason and excuse. Like, I think I'm good at let's figure out how to make this work.
What's the spin? Yeah.
So are you gonna weekend at Bernie's it?
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, maybe we're not
Absolutely.
gonna clean it up. Maybe I can't hide this, but we're gonna be like, hey, this wasn't murder. It was just, freak out.
Sleeping for a
They-
long time.
They fell in that wood chipper on their own.
They just fell in.
Right?
Yeah.
They just fell on
kinda,
this knife 17 times.
Chicago thing. He ran into my knife 10 times.
And it's my- Yes. Now that song's in my head.
I'm that friend, but then I'll forget what story we made up, and then like later I'll be like, oh, blah blah blah.
There is that, yeah. Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Nobody murder anybody.
Yeah,
No.
I think it's not a good idea for any of us, really.
No.
But if you do,
ideally.
I'll
Well,
try.
not when we talk about it.
No, not when we have it, on a
A record.
What have I done?
No, like I can't imagine most people having like the forethought and the planning that like Dexter has to keep it from being a giant mess. But if it is a mess, call Leah.
Right. I aim to please. Do what I can. Wait, Katie, who
Right,
is
so you
your...
guys said you wanted. Well,
Yeah.
you said you guys wanted to play a guessing game.
Oh, the
So-
guessing game.
My lady is the most numerous kills of any female serial killer, and this is in the Guinness World Book of Records. So go ahead, take a guess, guys.
I'm gonna guess 132.
What?
All right.
I
Claire,
thought
do you
like
have
the
a guess?
Golden State Killer was only like in the only like 70 people or something like that. I don't know. I will say 42.
But that's the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Everything.
That's 42.
All right, I'll guess 197 and a half.
Oh,
Or is it 4?
somebody made it, huh?
Just cut in half.
Right. I like it.
Well, I believe the number posted in the Guinness book is 650.
What?
Overachiever.
Jeez.
Us women know how to get shit done. I'm just
Whoa.
saying.
That's
This is the time.
that's a lot of murder.
Multitasking.
Holy
Actually,
crap.
I guess I wanted to confirm. I don't know the number in the Guinness World Book, but
Okay.
at one point during the trial, they came up with the number 650.
Mhm.
But
Wow.
most of these crimes were really hearsay in general because my lady lived quite a long time ago. So there is a lot of discrepancies and unknowns about her. Oh, Claire looks excited.
I think I know who it is. I won't say anything. I think I know who it is, but if it is, I'm excited
Oh,
because I knew something today. Woohoo!
I will be talking about the Blood Countess.
The Blood
Have you guys
Countess?
heard of the Blood Countess?
No.
Elizabeth Bathory.
Really?
Elizabeth Bathory. Bathory. I'm sure there's a very Hungarian fancy way to say it,
Okay, gotcha.
but I don't, as we've really made very clear on this podcast, I don't know how to pronounce things correctly.
That is totally
So she will just
fine.
be Elizabeth.
Gotcha.
Elizabeth was born in 1560 in Hungary, or, roundabout. It's
Right.
changed names a few times, and
It's
yeah,
Austria, Hungarian, yeah, lots of things.
roundabout that
Istanbul,
way, right?
Constantinople, not the same one. Sorry.
So she was born to a very privileged, wealthy family. They owned many castles, much land. They were definitely part of kind of the ruling class, because it was really a time of ruling class and then serfs. And by serfs, really, it was basically slaves.
Right.
Yes, they had their big castles and they basically owned the village and the people.
Yay!
Yes. So it's good background to know about how kind of the society functioned then. So anyway, she got married at the old age of 15.
Oh.
Like you did, right?
Well, I mean, was she a
It's like
go-go dancer
Rebecca.
before that?
You know what? She was not a go-go dancer, but there were rumors that she might have had a kid when she was 13, and then her family gave it to servants to raise.
Saucy.
And take away from the castle, like you do. Yeah. So, what's known of her younger life is just really, I think people thinking back to why did she do what she did, right? Because the things she's accused of are just completely sadistic, horrible crimes. She's clearly being accused of murder, of torture. It was said that she would drench servant girls in water and then put them outside to freeze. There were talks of mutilation and burning.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And the reason she's called the Blood Countess is she was reputed to bathe in virgin blood to remain young.
Oh, but where do you get that?
Got a source.
Is it 670? Yeah, okay. Wow.
Believed in hygiene.
All right then.
Yeah. So looking back, people trying to decide, like, you know, what happened to her? What the hell is wrong with her? One theory is that it was known that when she was young, she had seizures. Potentially, she had epilepsy.
Okay.
And one of the treatments in that time for epilepsy, I'm going to have to like reference my phone real quick because it's just too weird to allow it to stick in my head, okay?
Gotcha. Because we're talking way before shock treatments and things like that, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
Her epilepsy may have been because of inbreeding from her parents.
No.
I mean, I know it's not really a thing around that nobles. So the treatments for epilepsy included rubbing blood on a non-sufferer's lip, or rubbing the blood from a non-sufferer onto the lips of the epileptic.
Sure.
Yeah. Or giving the epileptic a mix of non-sufferer's blood and a piece of their skull as their episode ended.
I'm good. I'm gonna pass.
So there are some people saying that perhaps really what this was her continuing to try to manage her health.
Oh, God.
You know?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if these are your only options. Oh. Wow.
Right. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. And another, I would say to me, less shocking theory is just that she was trained to be cruel by her family.
Oh,
that
gotcha.
She witnessed the punishments and tortures of their serfs done by her family. Because it was not like a lovey-dovey, we're going to be nice about things time. It was like, you know, you do what you're told or you go to the prison.
Kind of taught to be mean sort of thing and was encouraged to be mean, maybe. So
that's another theory behind it.
Plausible. Yeah, I can see that.
But either way, she spent like many years pretty peaceful. Her marriage lasted 30 years before her husband passed away. She had 5 kids. They lived in many of their
Her husband passed away, and I'm like, what happened to him? What is his blood okay?
Well, he died at 48, and it seemed like he had some kind of injury or episode, or like something was wrong with him where he was disabled for a few years.
Interesting.
And then eventually
accident.
away, so. Yeah, I there's not a whole lot of info. That was the interesting thing about thinking about her, talking about her, is it's not a lot of information is known.
Right.
In fact, like her portrait was lost for a period of time, and now it's like locked up in a museum, and they don't even show it. I mean, I don't know if this is a little like, we're gonna tuck away our most famous murderess
Right,
from
exactly.
public viewing, or what it's about. But interestingly enough, there's been some more modern research trying to say that they think that she was framed for this.
Oh.
I know. Hold on to your seats, right?
Oh, hold on to your butts. Yeah.
Hold on to your butts. Yeah. So her husband died in around at 1604.
Okay.
And then she was arrested for these crimes in 1610.
Oh.
So it was not terribly long after her husband's passing. And with him gone, she inherited.
Right.
She had inherited all of his wealth and the power that came with that, because they own, like many estates, many towns. We're not talking one castle, we're talking like 7 castles.
Right.
Yes. So the person that brought these charges against her was actually the person her husband entrusted to help care for the family after he passed. Yes. And so yeah, and then they have all of the witnesses, none of them actually witnessed anything. They just were repeating what they had been hearing about her and about what she was doing and about what was happening at the castle.
Interesting.
And then they had 4 people that they said were like her co-conspirators that helped her do these crimes. But their confessions were, they got them a confession under torture. So they tortured them to get them to say that she had been doing these things and they had been helping her.
And you might say anything under torture.
Right. And they were extremely, very quickly after that, they were executed.
Oh. They got the answer they wanted then.
And she never actually got to go to trial and defend herself, because it was decided it would be an embarrassment for her family and their standing to have a public trial about this. So just this guy that brought this against her, these crimes, and one kind of like political government-y type, and her family decided that she would just be locked away in one of her castles under strict house arrest.
Oh.
So in 1610, she went to one of her like faraway castles,
right.
And stayed there for the rest of her life, which was actually only 4 more years.
Oh my goodness. So she basically had a 4-year detention sentence in her own house with servants.
Right.
Cool.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's like things on both sides, because the very first person that brought these concerns up was a Protestant minister.
Okay.
And so she was, I'm not good on the religions of ye old years.
Gotcha.
But
was she
there's
Catholic?
Definitely no.
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha.
Well, she was Calvinist.
Oh, Calvinist.
Which I guess jives pretty good with the Protestants. That's not a thing that's an issue.
Gotcha.
So their point being that if a Protestant minister said these charges, that would be more legit than if it had been a Catholic minister.
Oh, okay.
So they're saying that gives it more validity. And then the guy that's supposed to be caring for her came to her castle and with 2 others and claimed to have caught her in the act.
Okay.
That he saw her torturing somebody and that there was a mutilated dead body that he also witnessed. They found a letter where he had written that to his wife. But then the really odd thing is part of her duties as kind of governess of her little village was to care medically for the people of her village. And apparently, back in the day when people had wounds, they would just, what do you call that? Cauterize it?
Oh, yeah,
they would just,
burn it.
They would burn it. They would burn it to make the bleeding stop. So there's some people who are also saying, you know, was she actually torturing or killing anyone, or was this, you know, grossly misinterpreted purposely to remove her from her position of power?
Was the medical treatments horrific and appear as torture when really it's a little bit of both?
She could have stabbed them and then cauterized it.
Right. Too true.
They catch this little bit of blood first.
Yeah. And I mean, it was actually a couple of years after all this went down before the added rumor of her bathing in the blood became a thing, and she became like the Blood Countess. But a lot of people like to say that she definitely inspired like Dracula, but there's no proof that that's so.
Gotcha.
But you know, she comes from that whole Transylvania type area, bathed in the blood of virgins.
Right.
Yeah, that seems like a post-mortem, like something you say afterwards to be like
the urban legend kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was really interesting. I thought I was going to read about a sadistic, creepy lady, and maybe I did. But it also could just be a conspiracy theory to kind of dethrone a powerful woman.
Yeah.
I know I kind of cracked up, but I wanted to include it for you guys that when she got married, she refused to take her husband's last name because he was lower social standing. So he took her last name.
Yes.
So I would say, murderous or not, she was definitely probably a force and a powerful woman.
Yeah, she sounded powerful. Absolutely. And that's why it kind of gives to me validity of her claim of being people trying to bring her down, because powerful women tend to have, you know, a target on their back, and to bring them down. I mean, we have a library full of women who are powerful and trying to make change, or at least trying to just do their own damn thing, and people talking smack about them and making up stuff to try to bring them down. I mean, it sounds kind of like a Salem witch trial a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to ask if this is around like the same time, or is this later than like in Europe where they had all those burnings and murdered all those women who had like any knowledge or any like owned land?
I don't know. I would be, yeah.
Because we're talking early 1600s, right?
Yeah, her crimes were like supposedly 1590 to 1610.
Okay.
So
because
possible.
The big trial of witches in England, that was the really famous one, the Pendle witches, was 1612. So we're kind of at that height of burn her, she's a witch in England. You know, takes a little bit to get to Salem, thanks, but not much longer. So there is that powerful women.
Salem was
right.
When was Salem?
February of 1692 and May of 1693.
Okay, gotcha.
So sounds like a bit after.
A bit after, yeah, exactly. I mean, we learned from the English and the Spanish because nobody expects the Inquisition of how to do this torturous-like thing. But yes, interesting. What do you ladies think? Do you think it was
manipulated and?
Well, I'm torn because on one hand, if it turns out that it's just, you know, the patriarchy trying to take away her power and frame her, and they made her a vampire instead of a witch, so a creative twist to them. But then
kudos.
And so that like takes away her agency of her murdering. So I don't know.
Right.
Well, I would say it's possible that she was a murderess. She, you know, her husband passed. She's like, oh, I get to rule the castle and make all these calls, and here's what I want to do. But I would definitely say, unfortunately, she was manipulated by men in power, because she didn't even get to go to trial and say her part of it. And it wasn't just to save family face, but if she had been tried and found guilty, the crown would have gotten her properties. So her family wouldn't have been able to hold on to them and hold on to the power that entailed.
They could have lost everything, and absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
So
Bonnie, what do you think, darling?
I actually have a side story.
Oh.
Back in the day when I was doing the online dating, this last time around, I would ask people like, so who's your favorite lady from history?
Mm-hmm.
And some dude answered with her, and I was like, really? Like I was like, stepping away now. Like what?
Cool.
I was like what?
To each his own. But yeah,
I was like, I don't know if he was just like into like the murder thing,
or trying to be
like,
funny or scary or sarcastic.
Yeah, I was like, pass.
Right.
And then when he realized that Bonnie wouldn't help him clean up a murder, he was like, we're not compatible.
Yeah.
That was the second question.
Yeah. I had that at the bottom. Will not help you clean up murders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good job. That is fascinating. That's a lot of food for thought too, because I like that. I like that complexity. So, and there's nothing to say that wasn't a bit of both.
Right. I mean, that I feel like often kind of is where the truth lies.
Yeah.
Because everyone has their own perspective and thoughts, and then
Yep. It's usually a kernel of truth. There's something, the truth is wrapped in this lie and urban legend that just kind of like, gets more and more exaggerated, but there is some truth of it usually in there somewhere. So, yes. But that is definitely a scary and intriguing girl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to post it in the show notes, I watched a nice little YouTube video that kind of went over the research about the conspiracy theory.
Ooh,
so
yes.
I'll forward that on.
We will have that in the show notes because we have a video section.
Well, that wraps it up for us this week. Join us next week as our next gal pal shares her one cool scary gal as Gal's Guide podcast continues. Thanks for listening.
For show notes, links, and images from this week's show, visit galsguide.org. Want exclusive stuff like deleted bits and major bloopers? Become a Gals Guide patron today. Thanks for listening.